Man. They don't want to investigate the fraud. What they want you to do is stop talking about the fraud. And to do that, they have to call you a racist or a xenophobe or a bigot, or as we're going to see, go after Trump. It's madness. Also, the Venezuelan oil and MAHA is the key to midterm victories. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Let's start the show. So 50 million barrels of oil going to come to the United States from Venezuela, and then going to be sold, and then it's going to be split between us and the good people of Venezuela. Anybody got a problem with that? No? Good. Oh, wait, hold on. People have a problem with that? What's the problem? Well, we went to war for oil. What do we go to war for? Can we answer the question? Maybe that's necessary at this stage of the game. What do we go to war for? Protect our interests, to protect our people, the American people, to protect the civilization, our way of life. I mean, these are legitimate reasons to go to war. So what's the problem? Well, this is war for oil. Can we expand on that, please? Or do you just want to sloganeer, sit there as the leftists do, and engage some nonsense, ridiculous protest while you wear keffiyehs, which are a symbol of oppression, I believe stolen from the Iranian culture? Tony Katz Today. What are you doing, everybody? Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. We capture Maduro. Maduro is going to stand trial in the United States for drug running, and there'll also be, I think there might be some, I forget the other charges. Is there a gun charge in there? There might be. The leftists who claim that this was disgusting and we just ripped a leader from their home, and what would make us think that the Chinese or the Russians couldn't do that to somebody else? A couple of things. First, Maduro was not the leader of Venezuela. He lost the election to Gonzalez. He lost the election. He was not the leader. He simply didn't leave power. And that is a threat to the American way of life. And you say to me, Tony, how is that possibly a threat to the American way of life? Well, here you have a strong man in South America, way too close for comfort, who is siding with the Chinese and the Russians, communists, people who have an interest in America's demise. That is a threat. Now, the leftist might say, oh, you're making that up. But the leftist says a lot of things. Like, for example, the leftist says a boy can be a girl. What the hell do they know? Don't ask me to somehow listen to them like they've got a point to make here. That is just not the case. That is not the case at all. They have no point to make here. Absolutely none. They can't even take seriously what it is we're dealing with and what it is that's happening. So in their war for oil conversation, we have to ask ourselves, is there any truth in it? Did we take out Maduro to get the oil? Kind of. Well, here it is. They're giving 50 million barrels, not billion, million, 50 million barrels to Trump, and he's going to sell it. So you see, that's what it was all about. It isn't what it was all about. These barrels that the Energy Secretary, Christopher Wright, is now going to have to get onto the market. These barrels were sanctioned barrels. These were barrels that were just sitting there. Now, we could argue they were actually being sold to Russia and to the Chinese, which means that Maduro was selling oil against sanctions to our enemies. Well, first he steals elections. Now he's selling oil to our enemies. There's another reason to stop him. He's working against the interests of the United States, working to engage in harm against the United States because Russia and China intend harm against the United States. I'm sorry for all those people who don't want to be in grown-up land, but for the rest of us, we're going to continue this conversation. The oil will be sold at market price, according to President Trump. That money will be controlled by me as President of the United States to ensure that it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. So maybe in the U.S., it's going to be used to pay down debt, which I would be very much in favor of. Actually, I would also be in favor of not selling our portion, but keeping it to rebuild the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Remember, Joe Biden, he was going to solve our issues by depleting the oil reserve. And he was going to lower our energy prices by a whole nickel. Because in Joe Biden's mind, a nickel's a lot of money because he's 900 years old and didn't know where he was. Isn't Trump the same age? Difference is he knows where he is. That's a huge difference. But I would keep the oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But hey, if we're going to sell it, we're going to sell it. Let's use it for debt. Paying down debt helps my kids, my grandkids, secures a future for the nation. We're far better off with less debt. Don't give rebate checks. Don't give refund checks. Don't try and buy votes, Mr. President. Pay down debt. That helps every single American, even the ones who don't deserve the help. It still helps. Make sure we pay down the debt. But he says that he's going to keep control of the oil. And by keeping control of the oil, what happens is that he ensures that the money goes to the Venezuelan people. So we understand from this that when Maduro sells oil to his Chinese comrades and to his Russian comrades, the money doesn't get to the people. The money never gets to the people. The money got to Maduro and his allies, his cronies, etc. And the people didn't have power and ate pigeons. Now, when I said they didn't have power, they didn't have the power to get Maduro out, and they literally had no power in their homes. The lights didn't work. I sit in a studio, I've got 4 lights surrounding me, and I've got 6 lights behind me. I have 10 times the lighting of the average Venezuelan family under the Maduro regime. They had no power. Also, they had no power. If you were to allow Venezuela to sell this, and you said to Delcy Rodriguez, the vice president, make sure the people are able to profit from this, do you think that this Maduro loyalist, this technocrat, would make that happen? Oh, gosh, no. Gosh, no. And that's why Trump is doing this in this fashion. So you admit, Tony, once again, through all your explanation, that it was just a war for oil, even if the Venezuelan people are actually going to be able to profit from it, which they weren't doing under Maduro, who wasn't actually the president to begin with. No, there's more. The more is that the oil being controlled by us means it's not in the hands of the Chinese and the Russians, depriving them of a profit center, depriving them of energy, preventing them from gaining a further foothold in South America. And that is a very important step to take. And in this, we see the clear divide between the political right and the political left, those willing to engage a conversation and those who are not. Those who can see the long road ahead and those who refuse to because it messes with, it interferes with, it distorts an ideology. The ideology of the political left is that there is an oppressor and there is the oppressed. Everything relates down to Karl Marx in every single way. When you take a look at Black Lives Matter, Black people oppressed, white people oppressors. And they're still doing it. Oh my gosh, there's this renewed talk about the problem with whiteness. If you have a problem with my whiteness, be sure to email me at at hotmail.com. I'll be sure to get that. Whiteness. We have to dismantle whiteness. First, no one knows what you mean, which is part of the plan, because then you can make it mean anything. But if whiteness is, as the Smithsonian tried to describe it, the idea of being on time, it's just so silly for words. Of course you should be on time. It's good. It's important. It's valuable. But the ideological conversation here, and the part of the problem is that they can't actually see something for what it is. They have to see it for what they need it to be. And how in any world can Trump be good or Trump be right? It must be wrong that he took Maduro out and captured him and charged him for the drug crimes and gave the Venezuelan people an opportunity. It must be wrong that he's getting 50 million barrels of oil that will then be sold on the marketplace and the Venezuelan people will profit. It must be wrong that he is keeping China and Russia from engaging with Venezuela to do harm to the United States. After all, the United States is a bad place and harm must be done to it because it is the harm. Everything is viewed in the oppressed and oppressor methodology. That is how Black Lives Matter works. That is how the leftist views Israel and Hamas. It's not a terrorist organization. Israel is white. I don't know how they come to this. And the people in Gaza, Hamas, not white. So therefore, Israel the oppressor. Everything falls down this line. Of course, it's Karl Marx, the proletariat, and the bourgeoisie. It was said differently by President Obama, the 99% and the 1%. We see now how all of this plays out and continues to play out. That in the argument of the left, because they refuse to engage the conversation in its totality, the United States is the oppressor of the Venezuelans, not the actual oppressor of the Venezuelans, Nicolas Maduro, and the guy before him, the lowlife Hugo Chavez. In every single conversation we have, in every way, in everything I just discussed, one can clearly see that Maduro was the enemy. Stealing elections, imprisoning his people, engaging with the enemies of freedom everywhere. How could anybody be upset that he's gone? Now, I still say that it is more than acceptable to have a conversation about, did you need to declare war? What's the constitutionality here? All of that. That's very acceptable. And what we have seen, because you're seeing people move away from that conversation, is that precedent in history is on the side of President Trump. He has the argument on his side for taking out someone who's a threat. Maduro is a threat to America's safety and security because he was getting into a chummy relationship, furthering a chummy relationship with the Chinese and the Russians, who are hell-bent on America's demise. This is why one of the first things that was done was pushing China out of the Panama Canal. You don't get that. I don't care what land you've bought. That's ours. And I think it's from that springboarded into this idea of the return of the Monroe Doctrine. I don't like Donroe Doctrine. Donald Trump, Donroe Doctrine. I think just Trump Doctrine will do just fine. Maduro sending drugs to the United States. And was it CNN was like, they don't send fentanyl, but they do send cocaine and it's caused a lot of deaths. So, okay, maybe we should stop that. Maybe we should stop drugs coming to the United States, and maybe we should stop our adversaries getting a foothold in our hemisphere. That's the story here. Now, you might say to me, hey, we're not allowed to do that. And I say to you, yes, we are. And the selling of this oil is something we should watch. How does the money get back to the Venezuelan people, and how are they able to turn on the lights? Because if the Venezuelans can turn on the lights because we sold the oil and they finally saw some part of it, and I should say a good part of it, how is that not better for everybody? It helps the United States, it helps Venezuela, and it hurts China. With all due respect, that's a win-win-win. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. I didn't have time to do the whole break. There's so many comments to get to. I'm glad you're here. I'm Tony Katz. First things first, I am smoking my cigar. This is the Aging Room Sumatra right here that I'm smoking. It's a Churchill box press. Nice cigar for the show. I appreciate it quite a bit. Secondly, let me get to these comments here. Yes, I don't care about the whiteness thing either, which was the whole point, but I think maybe you mistook me as I started. I'm glad you stuck around, Ryan. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Wait, hold on. Maybe you didn't understand me. Maybe that's just sad then, Ryan. Or maybe you did, and you were just angry about something. I'll leave that. I'll leave that be. Where the heck is my cigar? My cigar is right here, and I brought out the SpaceX. It's a lighter, everybody. It's a lighter, and it is awesome. So that's that right there. Now, the right has to accept Trump also have evidence. Trump stole evidence. Trump, Netanyahu, Putin, all bad, yet you call Maduro bad. Okay. Yes, I call Maduro bad. That was actually pretty easy. Producer Landon, that was pretty easy. I just called him bad. He was like, you're calling Maduro bad? Yes, I'm calling him bad. That was very, very simple to do. Happy to do it. And then hold on. You mean privatize the oil like what we did with Panama, Cuba, Honduras? Whoa. Boo-boo. What are you talking about? The oil companies had gone into Venezuela because it's an oil-rich company and was making them a tremendous amount of cash. The communist Hugo Chavez, being absolutely delusional and devoid of rationality and humanity, then expropriated these companies, stole American hardware, never mind other countries' hardware, took advantage, took the oil companies, took these drilling facilities, and then led the country to absolute poverty. So I do not know what you are referring to here. You're more than welcome to explain yourself. But the issue here is Maduro and Chavez. And of course, the communism doesn't work. That's always an issue. Mauro, I brought this up earlier. I did say that we take the 50 million barrels and we could sell half the barrels for Venezuela, but we should keep the other barrels and refill the strategic reserve. So you and I are on the same page. Absolutely believe that should happen. Finally, I'm not talking about Chinese people. I'm talking about communist Chinese. There's such a clear difference here. We should say so. Anyway, back to the show, guys. On to the part 2 segment that has got everybody insane. Did I say part 2 segment and part 2 story? Part 2 story. Much better. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today, live streaming on the YouTubes. YouTube.com/Tony Katz. You can also find it on X at Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. On my LinkedIn, I do have a LinkedIn. I don't use it. I don't even quite know how I'm supposed to, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. So I stream the show and I figure someone must like it, might drive somebody crazy, and that's just hilarious. So follow me in all the places if you would. And thanks for listening on your local radio station. And again, WBT Charlotte, North Carolina. Good to be with you guys. Appreciate you having the show, inviting me into your lives. Can't wait to come out there and smoke a cigar with you. We are not engaging a military conflict to get control of Greenland. I oppose this with everything in me. Should we engage Greenland and therefore Denmark in a conversation about purchasing, about coming to some kind of deal? Absolutely, and twice on Sunday. We should absolutely be doing that. It is weird to me, and I think to you, that after all these years and all this time, people still don't understand Trump's methodology. They don't understand what's going on here. Trump starts with something outrageous. Truly outrageous. And that creates a reaction. In the reaction, there is an opportunity to then say, well, what about this? The outrageous start is to start the conversation, which then allows for the negotiation. It's how he works. I'm not saying that you like it. That is not my argument. Nor is it to the idea that somehow you think it works. But he believes it works, and it works for him. You start with something outlandish, people respond, and then you now know how they're going to react, so you have the upper hand. That's it. That's his methodology, right? That's his modus operandi. If people are saying you can't buy Greenland, I don't think they understand how the world works. I saw Robert Redford buy Demi Moore for $1 million. Everything is for sale. That's right. I went full indecent proposal. You're welcome. You're welcome. That's how we roll. Try and get that from Mark Levin. It ain't happening. Everything is for sale. And the only way to find out for sure is to ask, hey, how much? That's the way to do it. Now, this is going to lead into a very interesting story about a problem with Gen Z men. Millennial men. And I'm going to get into this because there are some things that are more important than our political realities. Greenland is an unbelievably important chunk of land. It is important geopolitically to our strategic deployment of assets, to our safety and security. And of course, we have engaged with Greenland before. Trump's just doing it in a much more direct style. Denmark is now saying if you engage militarily, it's going to end NATO. First, if we stop writing checks, we end NATO. Secondly, I don't favor any military action regarding Greenland. I think it's a terrible idea. An absolutely terrible, horrific, very bad idea. So now, because they're saying this, because of things that have been floated, if Trump doesn't engage militarily, it says, okay, let's just talk about a number. How do we work together? Now he's negotiating, getting exactly what he wants, or at least trying to get it. And if I would assume it doesn't go his way, he brings up the military thing again. I didn't ask if you liked it, and I think it's okay if you don't. I'm just discussing the methodology. But should we try and have more bases and more opportunities with Greenland? Absolutely. This is Tony Katz today. No, Alicia. No. He's trying to start World War III earlier than intended. Alicia. Can I call you Boo? Boo. Listen, Boo. Stop that. You sound silly. And it's not true. It's the kind of thing you say because you hate Trump. It has no basis in fact. There's nothing to it. So if that's what you want to do, I got to assume there's another chat room for you. If you want to disagree with me, totally fine. Totally fine. Okay. Call me whatever. Don't call me late for dinner. I would never call you late for dinner because I'm cooking. When I cook, good. Am I allowed to call you Boo? I do Boo a lot, and everyone knows I do Kitten all the time. I do Kitten constantly. Hold on a second. Where was this? We should steal other countries' resources. When did I say such a thing? Vet for Democracy, how are you? Thanks for being part of the show. But hold on. He has now called me a moron, so that happens. When did I say we should steal other countries' resources? When did I say that? The person who stole resources was Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. Just facts. No harm. Oh, Alicia called me baby. Hot damn. Hold on a second. Good for you. Hey, girl. I don't know. Okay, that even freaked me out. You know what? I shouldn't do that. I should not. Nope. That is not who I am. No. I'm here to tell you. Hold on. Boo is okay. Hot damn, Alicia. We're gonna be fine together. Don't forget. Oh, and right now, tickets are on sale. The sponsors have been so awesome. The tickets are now on sale. So if you're like, hey, I wasn't sure about the price, get them now. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later. Yes. Cocktail attire, wear a suit. You want to wear a tux or a gown, go right ahead. Just look good. The highs, the lows, and how we're going to use the past year to win the midterms. Everything has changed in the last month. And the capture of Maduro. And of course, MAHA. That is huge stuff. The midterms are winnable. And I'm going to explain to you how. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Trump 1 year later. Bourbon for everybody. We've got the food. We just got the band all set. It's going to be amazing. The red carpet and VIP sales end this week. I think VIP, unless it sells out, which is very close, I think VIP is done Friday. But tickets, oh yeah. Now, if you already got a ticket, don't worry. It's not like you spent more. You are going to be getting so many things. I'm going to take such good care of you. You have no idea how good it's going to be. So, get your tickets. Tickets.tonykatz.com. You got to love this lighter right here. This is the SpaceX lighter. Come on. That's awesome. Oh, anyway, let me let everybody know that we're doing. It's a story that we all know is happening. We're aware of it. We're aware that when it comes to Gen Z, when it comes to millennials, they're not dating. We know certainly that as a nation, we're not procreating. It's an issue. It's a problem. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. The problem is in these conversations, very often you'll have people simply yelling about, oh, Gen Z this, or look, millennials that. That's not helpful. We need to address what it is that's happening. And to do so, we need to understand what it is that we're looking at. This was a story over at the New York Post, The Young and the Dateless, Why Gen Z and Millennial Men Aren't Approaching Women Anymore. It's a story by Asia Grace. And I don't know Asia Grace. I don't know who she is or anything else about her. She's just a reporter at the New York Post. And the story discusses a 28-year-old who is terrified of talking to women. When trying to win over a potential love interest, the last thing he wants is to be considered a jerk who makes ladies cringe rather than swoon with a clumsy pickup line and unwelcome advances. I want to start where I start, which is if you don't ask a woman out, guys, you'll never go out with a woman. There are very few men in society who could walk into a bar and every woman there lines up and says, the answer is yes. Now, what's the question? Very few indeed. For the vast majority, the preponderance of men, you have to say hello. Now, part of the problem, you should note, is not yours. A society has told women that if a guy comes up to you and says hello, that guy is a predator. That guy is violent. That guy is trying to attack you. That guy is trying to hurt you. Men are bad. And so the guy, not wanting to be an attacker, does not initiate, does not even come forward, because what can come back can be so destructive that they have said it's better that I not. And sure, they can rely on apps, they can rely on Hinge or Bumble or things for hookups. But in the main, they stay away from it all because they have been taught by a feminized society that maybe they are bad. And so instead of us saying, oh, how ridiculous, oh, how silly, oh, how wrong, oh, how terrible, oh, how dumb, how about we tell men, young men, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with being a man. And how about we explain to young women, there is nothing wrong with being a man, and there's nothing wrong with a man saying, hi, my name is so-and-so, what's your name? Hey, I thought you were really attractive, I wanted to meet you. There's nothing wrong with that, ladies. As a matter of fact, that's normal. Now, could a guy use a cheesy pickup line? Sure. By the way, if you have good cheesy pickup lines, I'll read them right now. If you want to put them in the chat room there, youtube.com/Tony Katz or Twitter X @Tony Katz, I will read your cheesy pickup line. I once knew a guy who used to, at bars, say to girls, hey, if I played hockey, do you think I could dominate the blue line? I don't know. Did it work? I don't know. But it's one heck of a line. It would probably work great in Canada. I lived in Jersey at the time. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's the case. Now, someone in the chat room said, you know, one of the issues is the easy access to online pornography. The easy access to online pornography becomes an issue after men have been taught that they have no place in society. You have a culture that has called them toxic. Then you have a university set that has purposefully and willfully excluded them from society. Universities don't care if men go to school, go to college. They feel better when they don't. And if you take a look at university enrollments, it's majority women. And you take a look at the number of college degrees, and it's majority women. And if we were to take a look at those degrees, what are they? Some of them are degrees of value, and some of them are gender studies. And gender studies degrees have no value. And if anybody wants to complain, send me your emails. Would you do that immediately? send your emails to me at ericerickson@yahoo.com, and I'm sure Eric will just swing those right over to me. Don't want to hear it. Getting degrees in subjects that are not subjects, but they are reinforcements of narrative. Men have been excluded from spaces where they have the opportunity to engage with women at a younger age. Therefore, they don't learn how to engage with younger women. And then the cultural aspect has them afraid to engage with women for fear of being called X or being accused of Y. When I met my wife, not the first time, the second time, when she picked me up in a bar. Now, she will disagree that this is what happened, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get texts or you might hear screaming. I'm here to tell you, my wife picked me up in a bar. I stick with that story. I will go to my deathbed with that story because it's the facts. I will tell the story. That I was talking, I was in a restaurant that my family owned in Florida. I was talking to two different girls. And my wife said to me, I was out doing something. I was at a concert. The first time I'd taken any time off. How was the concert? I said, it was great. She said, okay, well, I just wanted to say hello. And she walked out. I followed her out. And she was there with a friend. And when I had first met her, she was with a guy. I said, what happened to the guy? And she said, he's a dog and I don't talk to him. I said, oh, so it's okay if I kiss you. And I kissed her on the spot. That is a true story. So help me God, that happened. That's a true story, producer Landon. I did that. Now, that's a pretty bold thing to do. And if you're into the guy, ladies, you consider it romantic. If you're not into the guys, you are offended. Right? If you weren't into the guy, you're like, whoa. That's the difference between flirting and harassment, whether or not you think the guy is attractive. Like that's it. I don't know if you have to do that. But there was no way I was going to meet her if I didn't talk to her. And yes, you'll note that she picked me up because she came and talked to me. I didn't say that couldn't happen. It should happen more. I am saying in the main, because my wife is 1 in a million, the guy has to say, hey, hi, hello, what's your name? And we have a society that has told them that they're wrong for doing so, that they're violent for doing so. And if they do say hello, they're just trying to attack you. Women, you can't be going out and be offended if somebody wants to say hello to you. You can't be angry about it. It's a weird way to act. It's a weird way to be. Well, Tony, can't I just go to a bar and be left alone? Sure. You can. I guess it depends on the bar. Also, there's a whole conversation that Gen Z and millennials don't go to bars anymore, which is a whole nother thing. It's a good place to meet people. But you can't have a society where men are afraid of saying hello. And you can't have a society where the feminized society has said the men are wrong for saying hello. It's no way to live. And so instead of us just complaining about a generation, what we need to do is teach them that the things they were taught are wrong. That there's nothing wrong with masculinity. Masculinity is good. Being abusive is bad. Saying hello is good. Thinking you could touch somebody just because you want to is bad. This is basic stuff. Ladies, no guy has a right to invade your space. But if someone introduces themselves, that's not invading your space. That's how these things are done. It's how they're done. And it's not bad. I do hear of women, as you do too, who are saying, how can I can't find a man. Oh, I can find plenty of boys, but I can't find any men. You scared the men off. And you know what the worst part is, Gen Z and millennials? You didn't. The generations above you did. Other millennials did, and Gen Xers did. Yep, that's right, my Gen X. And those stupid boomers taught you all that men are bad, and you had the men scared off. They did this to you. Now, sadly, you have to be the ones who stop it. This is a fixable problem in America. Why don't we go about fixing it? Why don't we go about teaching them that what they were taught was wrong? Here's what works. Go get them. Don't be afraid. As a parent, and you might know this as a parent, I have absolutely no idea if I raised my kids right or wrong, if I scarred them, if they're going to need therapy. I have no idea. You do the best you can. But one of the things I did with my boys from a very young age, whenever like some conversation would come up about conversations and dating, I would say, there's nothing easier than talking to a girl. And that's it. Sometimes I just leave the room. I would drop it as a matter of fact. And you know what I've learned? My kids ain't got no problems talking to people. No fear. It's very important to have no fear. And when you have no fear, other people still have fear, and you wind up on top, which is a good thing. This is a fixable problem. We should go about fixing it. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Good. All right. So I got some of your pickup lines. I will share those. Right there. Let me go back to the comments. Producer Landon, people are saying hello. Jennifer is saying hello to you. Right? Jennifer is saying hello to you right now in the chat. So I think Jennifer's a fan. I don't know what's going on there, but who am I to judge? Who am I to judge? So your children become you. You raise good kids by being a good person in daily life, and your kids will do the same when they mature. We're not disagreeing with each other, but I think we're leaving out the reality that there are pressures from the other side. And what happens when other people aren't raising good kids? So your good kid is doing the right thing, as confidence. And these other things are chipping away at that. So I think that we just need to do more. Producer Landon, is that true? Somebody met you at a New Year's Eve party. You told them you work here, and they said stay away from you because you're a conservative? Did the friend stay away from you? All right, well, now you know who you don't need to talk to. Yeah, well, awful people. Remember how inclusive they are. They couldn't accept you for you. They couldn't just still have a good time. Nope. They had to be angry and hateful and isolate. This is who they are. Well, I don't know if you have to wish her the worst. I think you should spend no time thinking about her. Right? Let me see. I want to look for. There you go. Congressman Baird's accident, I believe, was in the D.C. area. That he was in D.C. at the time. Congressman Jim Baird was in a car accident with his wife. They're both going to be fine. So that's where I believe it took place. So it turns out that the chat room does not have a lot of great pickup lines. I honestly, I expected a better from you. I mean, some of them are the standard pickup lines, right? You must be tired because you've been running through my mind all night. That's a standard. That's an everyday pickup line. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Got a map? Because I got lost in your eyes. That's also a classic. That is a classic right there. I don't know if any of these would work. I do not know if any of these would work. What about, is there anything wrong with hello in a pickup line? Hey. I mean, pickup lines work because they break the ice, right? They allow the opportunity for the weirdness to pass. I would be the guy who argues, don't have weirdness. Hi, what's your name? Just start there. Also, I didn't want to harp on the thing. This is a personal thing, and I say this as a guy whose wife is short. Guys, just a bit of practical advice. Something you have to get over. Do not be intimidated by tall women. Tall women do not get hit on as often as shorter women. Because guys like to be taller than the woman, and women very often like a guy who's taller than them, and it's a protection thing and a whole host of things. No, you can't act like that. Do not be afraid of tall women. Say hello. Do that immediately. There was a White House briefing earlier, and at that White House briefing, you had Robert Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services. They unveiled the new food pyramid, which is basically the food pyramid we have, and they turned it upside down. Saturated fats are good. Meat is good. Processed food is bad. Sugar is bad. Let's get to work. I have said it before, and I will say it again. The midterms are winnable for the Republicans. And this should have been just a pure economic election, as normal midterms would be. But with everything that has happened with Maduro, what has happened with Iran, this could be a national security election in part. But the key to winning is the recognition that MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is working. And people are behind it. They support it and they want better. Whether it's the change in the vaccine schedule or this conversation about what's in our kids' food, this is a winner. And I think that Robert Kennedy Jr. proved it once again. I will bring that to you. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Cannot wait to share that with you right there. Hold on. What was this? As someone who's in the generation you're talking about, if a guy walked up to me and told me he got my coat and was cute and smiled and walk away, I'd be more interested in him than if he used a line. Hey, Amy, first of all, thanks for being here. I appreciate you being a part of the show. That's about personal preference. So that matters, right? What would work for you? You want the honest, direct approach. Some people like the playful. I think it's all okay. But you can't start with I'm not saying you. People can't start with an anger of, how dare you speak to me? And guys can't be afraid to talk. And you can't have a society that says that the guy is evil for talking. That's the point here. I think this is a fixable problem. I truly do. But I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you being part of the show. That's good stuff. So thanks very, very much. All right, we are in commercial break right now for the radio show. So we will take the break right here. That's what's going on. And then we'll get into what it is that Robert F. Kennedy said and why it matters so much. So my advice to you, smoke them if you got them. Kick back, relax, and we will be back in a few minutes. That's the story. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We are smoking from Aging Room. This is a Sumatra right here. This is the Churchill. This is my SpaceX lighter right here. Hey, Elon, how are you, man? Look at that. That's good. Like a rocket ship. Let us get into what it is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was talking about, which is how we engage health in America and how much of a winner this is for the Republicans. Oh, love all the comments, guys. I will get to it. White House briefing took place today. Earlier than normal. White House briefing took place, and it was Caroline Leavitt on stage with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, with Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture, and Dr. Mehmet Oz, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Makari of the FDA. They were all there. And this was a conversation about what we feed our kids. It was a conversation about how we look at food in America, and my gosh, how wrong we do it. I have stated many times that MAHA, Make America Healthy Again, is working. America is in for this. And whether we're talking about the changing of drug prices, which admittedly the style, the methodology being used, I have issue with. But what people are going to see as lower drug prices, well then, that's going to be loved. Tony Katz today. If I didn't say hello, good to be here. Sometimes I forget. I swear to you, I forget. When you talk about getting food dyes out of our kids' food, moms go, that's awesome. Because they're fighting this uphill battle to make their kids healthier. And they know things aren't right. And they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what they can do, and they would like a little bit of help. The problem is they have had a federal government that hasn't been so much interested in anything that isn't already what we do. And the anger that you're seeing from the political left is a look at, well, how dare they change these things? Oh my gosh, they got rid of all these doctors at the CDC. They're not actually engaged in science. No. Maybe those people who got canned, maybe those people weren't engaged in science. Maybe the thing most infuriating the political left is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a guy I consider a leftist and would not and still do not want as the secretary. I don't want him in the cabinet. But even I must admit that his philosophy here and the honesty here and the data here driving the decisions is good for everybody.
For decades, Americans have grown sicker while healthcare costs have soared. The reason is clear. The hard truth is that our government has been lying to us to protect corporate profit-taking, telling us that these food-like substances were beneficial to public health. Federal policy promoted and subsidized highly processed foods and refined carbohydrates and turned a blind eye to the disastrous consequences.
Now, I think there are going to be a lot of people who agree with that wholeheartedly. I find that comments like that frustrate because it's leftist talk. Oh, those corporate profits. What if we said it this way? We saw that something wasn't working and we weren't willing to look ourselves in the eye and say, fix it because, well, the money was too good. The money was too good, meaning people lobbied here, people lobbied there, right? That we have seen that everywhere. If we say corporate profits, what we're saying is that some companies shouldn't be making that money. They could have profited 100 ways. I don't mind profit. I do mind if we as a nation don't ask ourselves what's best for us. And when we do ask it and we come to an answer, why shouldn't we go about going down that road? I don't want to stop people from having sugar or trans fats or salt. And I think that these people who want to ban and bar these things, like New York wanted to do under then Mayor Bloomberg, always wrong. I think if we ask ourselves, as a matter of overall health, do we want in any way to make our lives better? Are what we are allowing in the foods good or bad for us? I think that's worthy. I think that's smart. I think that's valuable. That's different than saying, hey, you, the baker, you can't bake with this good in your business. I think there is a difference there. But back to the secretary.
Today, the lies stop. The new guidelines recognize that whole, nutrient-dense food is the most effective path to better health and lower healthcare costs. Protein and healthy fats are essential and were wrongly discouraged in prior dietary guidelines. We are ending the war on saturated fats.
That might be the most beautiful thing I have ever heard, ever.
Yes! 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 Oh! 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 Oh, God.
Steak is good. Very, very good.
Diets rich in vegetables and fruits reduce disease risk more effectively than many drugs. Whole grains outperform refined carbohydrates. Added sugars, especially sugar-sweetened beverages, drive metabolic disease. And today our government declares war on added sugar. Highly processed foods loaded with additives, added sugar, and excess salt damage health and should be avoided. As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear: eat real food.
There is no way for me to properly explain something you already know. And that is that message is going to reverberate. Eat real food. That is telling every mom in America, you were right. You're not wrong to tell your kid no. You're not wrong to say you can't have this. You're not wrong to buy these other things. You're right. Stop believing the labeling and start trusting yourself. That's what he's saying. That's what the secretary is saying. Start trusting yourself, Mom, and certainly Dad. I'm not leaving dads out of this. You're right. When you get good ground beef and you make your kid a burger versus going out for that burger, you're doing the right thing. When you say, hey, we're going to grill a steak as opposed to we're going to have this whatever because I'm told that it's healthy, you're right. Now, I will admit that I am somebody who has a massive issue with the idea of organic. I'm not opposed. It's that I have never believed that it actually is. Well, there's no pesticide on this, that, and the other. Sure, Jan. Whatever you say. But is there any question that the peanut butter you buy shouldn't be the peanut butter that it should be the peanut butter that doesn't have added sugar? When you buy peanut butter, why would you buy the added sugar peanut butter? Oh, well, that's what my children like. You're in charge of your children. Who asked them what they like? They like it because it has added sugar, but it's also going to give them diabetes. No. The answer is no. Absolutely not. But the point I make is that these parents, my belief is they've always known it. And you know what they didn't get? Backup. They were told, well, you got to have the servings of this and the servings of that. It's not that they didn't know that fruits and vegetables are good for you. It's about a whole picture. What I like so much about what's happening here, And this conversation that the secretary is having, it's about empowering parents. You're not crazy. You're right. Now go act on it. Here's what we're going to do, but the rest is up to you. And if we do this together, the outcomes don't just save us money. I know that's where a lot of people are going to go. They save your kids. They're smarter. They're happier. They're healthier. That's a good thing. Take it back. Some more from the secretary.
Nothing matters more for healthcare outcomes, economic productivity, military readiness, and fiscal stability. The dietary guidelines shape dozens of federal feeding programs, including Head Start. These standards affect 45 million school lunches every day. Meals for 1.3 million active duty service members, and food served to 9 million veterans in VA hospitals. Today begins the work of aligning those programs with affordable, whole, nutrient-dense food. Implementation requires coordination across the government. I'm working with many of my fellow cabinet secretaries to deliver results. I want to thank Bobby Mukamala. Thank you very much.
As he goes about thanking people right there. Nutrient-dense food. Now, there's a conversation that's going to come up if we're talking about how to feed children. We're talking about how to feed those in the military. And I would argue we do way too much feeding of children. I'm going to get screamed at. Oh, my gosh. Am I going to get screamed at right here? My issue with school lunch, I have no issue with school lunch. But if a school does breakfast and dinner, we're taking responsibility away from parents. And I'm just not down for that. Don't worry, you don't have to feed your kids. The government will do it. It's a bad idea. It's a terrible idea. But someone has to start discussing the fact that if we're going to engage this, as the secretary is talking about, it's going to cost more. And we have to be a country that asks ourselves, first of all, should we be doing all these meals? But we're going to feed the military. And we're going to feed kids, although I again talk about the breakfast and the dinners. We have to empower parents, and we have to put the responsibility on parents to do parent things. It's going to cost more. And what we have to be able to show in the long term is the calculation of, yes, we're going to pay more for this. We're going to put more money towards this over here. And the savings is going to be beyond belief. If we take care of it now, we save the money later. Give your kids real peanut butter and give your kids a steak, and they will spend less money later. You got to be able to show that. But this conversation, this explains to parents that they've always been right. And now the government has caught up to them, something they've known in their gut. That's a winner. That's a winner argument. Never mind that he's right. It's a winner argument. And that matters. That makes it a subject that works in the midterms. Democrats changed nothing. They just want to put more towards programs that more harmed your kids. We are going to engage healthier for your kids. That argument, man, that is going to get votes. It will. It's going to get votes. This was good stuff today from the secretary. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Excuse me. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Let me go to the comments. Hold on. Where was this? Hold on. Kurt, how are you, Kurt? What is it with pseudo-intellectuals and holding cigars? No, wait a second. And then you make some crude sex joke? Oh, Kurt, it's not even original. What? Show me on the doll where they hurt you. Show me where my smoking a cigar does anything. It changes my political beliefs? No. You can agree, you can disagree. Pseudo-intellectual smoking a cigar. What's wrong with you? You sound angry and bitter, and I don't think you should. You know what would help with that? If you smoked a cigar. Good Lord. Okay. The homeowner freak. So earlier this week, I played you this clip from someone by the name of Sia Weaver. And I get that you're not familiar with her. I wasn't familiar with her either. She is going to be the one who is taking care of tenants' rights in New York in the Mamdani administration. And she's a communist. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. Be a part of it over there. Well, she is the one, as you may remember, who said this about housing.
Democratically controlled public housing is really important. And that's why when Raquel is talking about the communities and that she's describing, that, you know, that's a created community where the people who are living there are like setting the agenda. And so, you know, people like home ownership because they like control, and that's been perverted by like deep racism and deep classism in our society. So like we have to not have a racist and classist society. And so that's like something we need to think about like deeply. But, you know, it's about control, and why rent control is really important is because rent control alters the power dynamic between renters and who owns the building.
She does owns in air quotes. And then she went on in another clip to discuss the fact that home ownership is white supremacy. She said the word. Don't get angry with me. She said the words. Here, this was the clip right here.
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good, and we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently, and it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
The different relationship is this woman who never created anything in her life, she's never built anything in her life, is going to take what is yours. Communists don't believe in personal property. Just going to take what is yours. Well, it got noted that Sia Weaver here, who can be seen in the pages of the New York Post in tears. Why is she in tears? Because it was discovered that for Sia here, her mother, who is, I believe, a professor in Tennessee, her mom lives in a $1.6 million house. I'm just going to let that kind of marinate. That's all right. Just going to leave that there. $1.6 million. This is the woman who says there's no such thing as a good gentrifier. We have to end whiteness. She is the stereotypical liberal white woman who has done absolutely nothing, but she's got the right degrees, and therefore she gets these opportunities. And the fact that Mamdani hired her tells you everything you need to know about that commie lowlife. Lowlife. These people can't create, they can only take and destroy. And once she got questioned about it, she broke down in tears, as the story goes. Her mother has a $1.6 million house, but you shouldn't be allowed to own an investment property. You shouldn't be allowed to own your condo. It's not good for the collective. You know who knew about good for the collective? Nicolas Maduro. Hold on, wait, what? The people had no power and ate pigeons. Oh, it's funny. In Sia Weaver's mom's $1.6 million home, never pigeon on the menu. No, not even for a snack. No. The most classic, stereotypical commie. You do what we tell you. We still get fresh fruit. They're the enemies. They are the enemies of rational thought. They're the enemies of freedom. They're the enemies of humanity. Always. There is no such thing as a good communist. Just like there's no such thing as a democratic socialist. Bernie Sanders is a communist. He's been lying for years, and people have bought it because they wanted him to succeed. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a communist. Elizabeth Warren is a communist. They all believe in Mamdani and supported him. Therefore, they don't even say, hey, listen, on this policy, I think you're wrong. They don't. She cries. New York, you voted for this, so you're going to suffer. Let's make sure nobody else votes for this. Let's make sure this goes away. This is Tony Katz today. Goodness gracious. Oh, yeah. Oh, she's going to get paid. It's not like she's giving up the money. No, she's taking the looty loot. That's exactly what she's doing right there. And yes, of course, everybody should be allowed to live in her mom's home. 1.6 million. I don't know what she got. 5 bedrooms, 10 people to a bedroom. Put in some bunk beds. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Madness. These absolutely ridiculous and embarrassing people. And they have no shame. They have no shame, except they'll cry and be like, why are you noticing me? Why are you noticing what a fraud I am? Let's see where we are. Let me get that story right here. See where we're at. Yes, I have this story right here. I will get to that. By the way, Landon, can you hear the fan in the background? Okay. Anybody else? Can you hear the fan? I have a system that pulls the smoke out of the studio. I just didn't know if anybody could hear it. Trump wants to move to ban institutional investors. Well, when is Trump speaking today? One second. Okay. I don't have that. So Trump he might be speaking later, but not during the show. Okay, I thought maybe he was going to be talking on the show. Just putting some stuff together for you guys. Some incidents took place in Minnesota involving a woman trying to run over federal agents and being defended by the Council for American Islamic Relations. Don't ask me to say nice things about CARE. I've got nothing. Council for American Islamic Relations. They're a front group and they know it. They're apologists and they know it. Okay. I haven't been able to listen to this first, but we'll get into it. So the reporting of a story out of Minnesota just earlier today, woman shot and killed by federal immigration officers as she tried to run over them in her vehicle. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. You've got a group of protesters shouting anti-ICE slogans behind a yellow police line. Oh, God, that is a mess of a photo right there. ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. This, according to DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Tricia McLaughlin. It might be McLaughlin, but I say McLaughlin. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. So, I mean, that's the story as of right now. And there is video of this. I'm trying to grab it the best I can if there's video of just this. But there is a response. You've got the Council for American Islamic Relations, who is saying of this woman in an interview done on MS Now that this woman is, I'm supposed to believe, some kind of hero. Now, Producer Landon, I have not gone through this yet. I'm hearing this like you are. So finger on the dump button just in case.
What is your message to the Trump administration in this moment?
You're not above the law, period. You cannot commit crimes against innocent people, and that appears to be what happened today. And so we're going to remind them and anybody else that this is still a country of laws, and we're going to hold them accountable to it.
Are we also going to hold the Somali nationals and anybody else associated with fraud accountable? By the way, the reporting is this woman was running people over, and that's when law enforcement then protected themselves. That's the reporting. Now, certainly we can find that story changes. But if it's a nation of laws, everybody associated with the fraud needs to go to jail, right? including people who are from Somalia or of Somali descent, because they're not special. They're not special, right, Care?
No ICE agent can go around and shoot people. That's exactly what happened here. We've had a previous incident as well. This is not the first shooting that has happened in Minnesota, and so we're hoping that we can get to the bottom of this and learn as much as possible, as much information as possible. But we're asking our folks across the state here to be vigilant, to wake up, and to realize what is happening.
We are waking up to what is happening. Radicalized progressives believe that they can attack law enforcement officers fulfilling the laws that are on the books, and they should be able to do so with impunity, as if somehow laws don't matter. That is what's happening here, unquestionably.
Untrained ICE agents who are coming.
Untrained? What do you mean untrained? Hey, if you want to put more money to training, I think they'd greatly appreciate it. But untrained? Well, there's a false statement.
Nearly 2,000 for what? For what purpose? Other than to separate families, to disrupt the peace on the purpose of a policy of political rhetoric. President Trump is trying to score political points and really terrorize our state because he's afraid of Governor Walz or whatever his logic behind is happening. This is unacceptable behavior.
I don't know why Trump is doing anything, but I'm sure it must be bad, so therefore I'll be opposed to it. That is a great line, Council for American Islamic Relations. Are people in the country illegally, and should we remove them? We're a nation of laws. You said separating families, but if they're in the country illegally, shouldn't we follow the law? So you think we should follow the law unless, of course, a family gets separated, in which case we should pay no attention. I don't think that. I don't think that at all.
We see the worst version of it today in the loss of a young woman's life. And as we learn more about this situation, we need people to wake up that this is unacceptable. And we need.
As we learn more about the situation, the reporting tells us that she got into her car and tried to run over law enforcement officers. I'm pretty sure that's a bad idea. Listen, I'm not an expert. Hold on, wait. I'm somewhat of an expert. Well, I know a good idea from a bad idea. I know you shouldn't try and run people over. Yeah, bad idea. What did she think was going to happen? Now, could the reporting be wrong? Sure, the reporting could be wrong. Could he be wrong? Absolutely.
Every person to wake up and look outside their window and identify and record these people's behavior because they're absolutely dangerous. We have
record these people's behavior. There has been nothing that has been more helpful to show exactly what we're dealing with in American society than the body camera. People wanted the body camera left and right, up and down. And finally, we got body cameras. You know what we learned? A lot of bad actors out there. When we have a bad cop, we should fire the cop wholeheartedly. But a lot of people acting very foolish and engaged in violent behavior. Of course, on cue, I get the comment of United States of fascism. Oh, honey. If you don't think law enforcement should be able to protect itself from violent people trying to run them over, what do you think should happen? Should everyday citizens be allowed to? Can you defend yourself? Just curious. How is that fascism? It's not, but we know this. We're fully aware of it. It's just what people say when they want to stop conversations from taking place. How dare you notice what these people are doing? Meanwhile, this guy who ostensibly leads CARE in some area of Minnesota is continuing his conversation in part 2 of this interview.
Through so much over the recent years, what is your message to the people of Minneapolis, the people of St. Paul?
We are a strong community. We have dealt with a lot more, and I believe in this moment, God has chosen us to carry the burden of this nation's fight against President Trump's authoritarianism. And guess what? If God sees something good in us, that goodness is going to be used to shine a light of positivity. And so we're going to come together. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be resilient, and we're going to win in this moment. And history will remind the nation and for generations yet to come that there were great people in this great city of Minneapolis who stood up against authoritarianism.
What authoritarianism? You just said we're a nation of laws. What's being done are the law enforced are the laws on the books. Again, it's just like the guy who commented in the chat, United States of fascism. It doesn't mean anything. Authoritarianism, what are you talking about? The president was elected by the people. He's following the laws that are on the books. Can I help you? You're angry that the law is being followed while you then claim that the law should be followed. That's pretty nutty. By the way, that man, his name is Jailani Hussein, the executive director of CARE in Minnesota. Being able to break down what it is that these people are saying, expose it for what it is, and of course, this being MS Now, or as the kids say, Ms. Now, right? They refuse to actually take a look at what laws are being enforced. The answer is, look at these bad ICE agents.
All of our guests can stand by. I want to go back onto the scene in Minneapolis where our reporter, Alex Tappett, is standing by. What's happening there now, Alex?
Chris, we are right at the scene where this shooting happened. As you can see right over there, 34th Street and Portland Avenue. The police have shut down this block. If you come with me right here, you can see the fencing. You can see the state and local law enforcement now. DHS, Border Patrol, ICE, they have been taken out of the scene. During that process,
because ICE doesn't investigate these kinds of things. That's not what ICE does. ICE is dealing with people who are here illegally. But if there is some type of incident like this, a shooting, that would be local law enforcement that would be on the scene. Makes perfect sense.
Introducer, I want to introduce you. I want to introduce you to the head of the nonprofit, Jailani. Jailani, talk to me about the moment that we're living in right now.
Well, this is what we predicted. We predicted that these ICE agents are untrained. They have been literally coming into our streets with arsenal, and they've attacked our community multiple times. And unfortunately today, the worst part of that situation happened. A young woman, it got, rest on her soul, appeared to have lost her life because they literally shot an innocent person today and murdered her. And so
the reporting says otherwise. And I'll wait to get more reporting. Absolutely, I will. But we've seen ICE agents get shot at. That happened in Dallas. We've seen ICE agents attacked. How dare we enforce the law? Nah, we should enforce the law. How dare MS Now, Ms. Now, make this kind of push? I wonder after the interview, did anybody push back on this? Hey, that's his statement, but here's what we have right now. We don't know exactly all the facts. We have to find this out. I wonder if they did any of that. Or it was, you know what? Finally, somebody's dead. This is great for our coverage. This really will help us go after Trump. So you want people to attack ICE agents, so ICE agents have to protect themselves, and if somebody dies, that proves your point? That's very Hamas thinking. You know, in the eyes of Hamas, if an Israeli dies, Hamas wins, and if a citizen of Gaza dies, Hamas wins. They don't care. That's what this smacks of. But this is all breaking. We're going to have more information on that tomorrow for sure. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. All right. I've seen the video. The woman is driving a red, I think it's a Honda Pilot. And in the video, she is here. Let me see if I can get it to you. Hold on a second. You guys tell me what you see. She's ordered to stop. She backs up. She keeps going. And then shots are fired. Here, let me bring this to you right here. You guys tell me. Here we go. Let's check this out together.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
What the fuck?
And then she hits that other car.
Dude, what the fuck?
So what happened there? Is that justified or not? Did the ICE agent have to fire? But does this woman not heed the instructions and drives directly at an ICE agent? And so I don't know who made the comment. This is what Democrat leaders want. There's a lot of truth in that. That's horrifying. That is horrifying. Here, I'll play it for you again because you can see as the car drives by that there is another agent. There is an agent in front. So let me do this right here. There, maybe you get a better angle this way.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
Right there.
What the fuck? Dude, what the fuck?
Oh, there's going to be a lot there to chew on. A tremendous amount. I have seen this story now 3 or 4 times regarding car payments. Blows my mind about how people buying cars are engaged in payments of $1,000 a month or more. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. By the way, in this situation that is developing in Minnesota where ICE agents shot and killed a woman they claim was driving at them, trying to run them over. I've seen the video. We shared it on the live stream. And the video absolutely shows a red SUV where is sideways in a roadway. ICE agents show up and say, get out of the car. Now, people are cursing and all that jazz. And the person in the red SUV backs up, drives forward, and it could be seen as driving at an ICE agent. Shots were then fired, and then the SUV crashes into a parked vehicle. Whether that woman is dead already or something else, I don't have the answer. So the angle doesn't give us everything. The angle right now gives everybody, I can't play it because I don't have the chance to edit it up. It gives everybody a little bit of what they were going for. Right? CARE and these leftist groups are going to claim one thing. People who are looking at this are going to say, whoa, she didn't listen to the police. She didn't listen to ICE agents. She didn't get out of the vehicle. And then she drove her car directly at an ICE agent. What's going on here? We'll have more on this. I'll dig into more tomorrow as we get more information. By the way, don't be surprised if people go full George Floyd tonight, because that's what they want. They want this. But this idea that car buyers are financing, on average, $43,759. That's up $10,000 since 2019. They're getting longer and longer term loans. $1,000 or more car payments. 84-month loans are happening. More than 20% of new car buyers. How do you afford anything? Buy used. I'm buying used. I had a pretty good trade that I could do with my old Bronco, the 96 Bronco. And so I bought something new. Used. I can afford new. I shouldn't. Afford $1,000 a month payment? Why can't I put that into some type of fund or stock or anything else? Wouldn't I be better off? And yes, by the way, this is an example of where Trump is wrong. I haven't heard him want 15-year car loans. I haven't heard that. But the 50-year mortgage, it's insane. That's a terrible idea. Terrible idea. But if people aren't building houses that are affordable for the first-time home buyer, somebody in their 20s or 30s, you create an issue. $1,000. And people wonder why they have no savings. That's why. Buy used. Pay it off quick so you're not paying insane interest, and then take care of it. If the economics don't make sense for you on a $1,000 payment, for very few people in society. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Now, I don't know if I agree, Brad. Brad does all our video work, with paying off your mortgage ASAP. It depends on what the interest rate is. If you had an interest rate before recently and you were paying 2, 3, 4%, wouldn't you be better off with a lower payment, not paying it off, having that money invested that's paying 6 to 8%? I'm not your economic advisor, right? I'm not your financial advisor. Don't listen to me on that. But I don't know if paying off your mortgage like that is the smart. No mortgage equals better sleep. Who am I to tell you? If that's that, that's that. If that's the way you sleep better, fine by me. Guys, I appreciate you. The show is going to continue at WIBC.com. That's where you need to go. And then, of course, January 24th, Trump 1 year later. Oh, cocktail attire. You can wear a suit. You can wear a tux, a gown, whatever you want. Look good. Join us downtown Indianapolis, the Hyatt Regency. Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms, how all this is going to play out in the midterms, and what it teaches us about how we can win. It's going to be awesome. And right now, tickets are on sale. And they're not just on sale. They're on sale. The sponsors have been so great. We've lowered the ticket price for a while. It's awesome. It is awesome. Go right now to tickets.tonykatz.com and get your tickets. Make it happen. Make that happen. Oh, it's going to be such a good event. Guys, I appreciate you like you would not believe. I will catch you tomorrow. Y'all be good now. Take care.